So this little session, this chat, this live is all about working through a pandemic and being pregnant, which just kind of adds that extra little layer to make life interesting at this time, I think. So I'm Rachel Collison. I'm from Nifty Communications, and I'm joined by Laura Butcher, who is the founder of Soul Sanctuary Studios, which is a fantastic yoga, well, a couple of yoga studios you've got. Tell us a little bit more about your business, Laura.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rachel. So, we have a couple of yoga studios. So at the moment, we've got two in Worcester. So we've just got one above Wayland's Yard, which is where we started, and also one in Spetchley Park Gardens, which is really beautiful. Obviously, an amazing setting, especially this time of year. So hopefully, we'll be able to get back there soon, make the most of that. And then really exciting, we had just signed our lease just before isolation started for our new studio in Edgbaston. So that's a really big new venture for us. And yeah, again, hopefully we'll be able to get that up and running. I had literally been running around trying to get the fit out sorted, and it was like 90% there. And then suddenly it was like lockdown. So yeah, really keen to get that back up and running. So that's the kind of studio business. And then, as you know, Rachel, we've got a couple of other businesses which are kind of attached to the studio. So obviously I run teacher trainings, which is just getting people qualified to be yoga teachers. We had one of those booked, which was actually happening this week. So that's now happening in November and December. And we've got, the corporate side of things. So doing wellness kind of talks and classes in corporates, which is actually still going ahead really happily. I'm doing quite a lot of work with some corporates at the moment, a bit like this, just kind of presenting on health and wellness, over Zoom and Skype and all sorts of different methods and means, just to try and keep people healthy during this time. So yeah, still quite busy, but in a very different way to how we planned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say hello to those that are joining us. We've got some waves to Catherine, Lol, Linda, Christian, of course. Do like and share this video, guys, so that we can get the reach growing, so that the business community can grow, and so that more and more people, hi Lottie, can benefit from Laura's insight here really as well. And it's mainly just a chat really, because Laura and I do work together, and I've been to the yoga studios, very lucky to have been both to the city location and to the country location. And it's funny actually, just hearing you talk about them makes me miss them, because obviously here we are just being in our own environments. But you have had to quickly pivot your business, haven't you? And you've now taken a lot of your offering to your members online. Do you want to tell us quickly how you kind of got that up and running so quickly after lockdown was announced?
Yeah, and quickly being the kind of operative word really, because it had to be turned around so fast. Unfortunately, we weren't eligible for any kind of grants or financial support, and all our outgoings remain the same. I'm sure other kind of business owners are in a similar position. So we had to rely on the kind of goodwill of our members to keep supporting us during this time. And so I obviously felt a huge obligation to try and offer as much value as I possibly could, without the studio doors actually being open. So initially that took the form of us recording as many classes as possible, whilst the isolation measures weren't so strict. And so we uploaded hours. It was like over 30 hours we got recorded in like a week. It was just full on. So uploaded that to an online subscription platform, just to try and say to everyone, you can still practice as much as you like, all the different styles, as many times as you like, but kind of at your own convenience. And then offered, extra benefits, extra meditations, extra bits and pieces for their different membership levels. And then as, more and more kind of people were doing lives and lives were becoming easier, we now also offer those. So hopefully, I mean, our members have been absolutely amazing and have continued to support us. Obviously, not everyone's been in a position to do that. But yeah, we're really, really grateful for everybody that's kind of continued to come along to class. So, you know, sometimes like 2 or 3 times a day, we're teaching our live classes now, and it's just so amazing to see the same faces that we would do usually, you know, in person, but everybody obviously just signing on, you know, differently. And it does just make you feel like you are still connected. And the community is such a massive part of what we do. You know, so our kind of USP is that we bring psychology into yoga. So it's not just, you know, a stretch class, but there's so much more to it. It's like coaching, and part of that is the community that is created. So it's really important for us to still have that going. And we have like a little lunch and connect session where we don't do any yoga. We literally just sign in and have a chat, and just try and keep people connected at this time. So yeah, massively different. And it's been a lot of work to get all of the pre-recorded content kind of branded, edited up, available, as well as the lives, you know, constantly happening all day, every day. But we're doing it, and I'm so proud of the team as well, because, you know, a lot of this at the moment is going without payment because we just can't, and that just shows their absolute loyalty to the company. Yeah. So we're really
dedication to you guys and to yoga, and I think understanding the real benefits that you're giving to people.
I think so. And it is definitely that feeling of giving back. Like, we want to help as much as possible. And it's really, I find the trickiest thing is just keeping that balance. I mean, I'd love to offer everything for free, but, you know, unfortunately, without getting any kind of financial support, it just would mean that we're not here. So I have to try and basically just create that balance of trying to make things as reasonable as humanly possible whilst keeping afloat, really, which is, you know, is a challenge.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But it sounds fantastic what you're doing, and like I say, I've been lucky enough to see some of this content as well, which I'm really grateful for. We've got a few more hellos to say here. I think it's your mum, Steph. Say hello.
Yeah.
Hi to Beth, to Joe, to Heidi. Hi, thanks guys for coming on. If you're enjoying the video, then please do give us loads of likes, thumbs up, love hearts, share it on your page, share it to any groups that you're part of, any family groups, any baby groups, any pregnancy groups, any yoga groups, any business groups. That would be fantastic. We've got a comment here from Linda. Sounds like you've got a great team around you, and that includes your customers, which is so true, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, talking about the community feel, I think that's really important, because I was going to say to you, obviously you're used to really interacting face to face with hundreds of people every week, not only family and friends, but all of the members that come along to your classes. So not having that human interaction must be really, really strange for you at the moment.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's taken such a lot of getting used to. And you're right. I think my norm as kind of being in the studio, you know, all day, every day, is it's very normal for me to see like hundreds of people a day. And to now go down to just basically Adam and I, as much as I love him, you know, it's very different. And I'm sure so many people are finding that it's taken a lot of getting used to. And yeah, Rachel, I mean, as you know, I'm pregnant, actually 5 months pregnant now. And so that's been one of the strangest things, you know. The people at the studio have been, you know, so sweet, and they just want to know, you know, how I am all the time, because that's the type of kind of family we've got. But equally, my real family, you know, have also not seen me pregnant. And that is just absolutely bizarre. You know, at the beginning, it wasn't so bad because I didn't have a bump, and it, you know, I felt okay. But as the bump is kind of getting bigger, and it's just getting more and more to that time where, you know, I would love my family to kind of be around, it is really difficult not seeing them. So yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to, but you know, I always try and keep perspective. Like we're so lucky in so many ways. You know, I'm touch wood, you know, healthy, safe, and we live in you know, a lovely place where I've got a garden. So there's so much to be grateful for that you can't kind of dwell on that stuff. But it would be nice to see my mum and my sister soon. That'd be great.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we were all hoping that on Sunday night, Boris might have given us that kind of that 10 people bubble where you could share meetups with other members of your family from one other household or something like that. Hopefully that's going to come soon, because you know, I'm in the same position. I'm 7 months pregnant now. My bump is absolutely humongous, and nobody's really seen it that big. I was hiding it before, and now, you know, now you want to sort of, you get to the part where you want to show it off a little bit, don't you? Well, a lot, actually.
Yeah, exactly that. I know. And what's been so nice is seeing you, Rachel, every week on our little we have a pregnancy yoga group which I set up to try and kind of a bit selfishly get connected with other mums, but also knowing that, you know, other mums might also be in the same position where there's just been so little contact. You know, I've spoken to my midwife like once on the phone, and it just makes it feel really not real. Especially, I know this is your third pregnancy, but this is, you know, my first pregnancy, and obviously there are all pros and cons for different stages, but it took me a long time to accept that I was pregnant, and then not having any contact for like 5 months, it just didn't feel real. So yeah, it's been really helpful to have our pregnancy group, which has been so lovely, just to connect with other mums who are in the same position. And yeah, I think that's made a huge difference, actually. It's made it feel really real, which I'm so grateful for. And so grateful for your wisdom that you share, having three. Because as you
I'm like the one whole owl now, aren't I?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I said before, you know, I've been pregnancy yoga qualified for years now. And I taught for the first 2 years, and I always just felt like a little bit inauthentic because I'd never had kids. So, you know, although I knew all the science and I knew all the sequences, it was really difficult for me to say like, oh, and this will really help you feel like this, because, you know, I didn't know how it felt. And that's such a big part of being a yoga teacher. And my passion for becoming a yoga teacher was because I'd suffered with depression and anxiety and burnout, and yoga saved me. And I was so determined to help people that felt the same way. And yet when it came to pregnancy yoga, I couldn't apply the same kind of empathy because I just hadn't been there. So it's really lovely, actually, now kind of going through it all. And it's really reassuring because I'm like, okay, all the stuff I taught is exactly how I was taught, of course, but now I can feel it, which just makes such a difference to be able to connect with everyone, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's exciting for you, Laura, is this is the sort of start of your own pregnancy yoga journey, really, and that you're enjoying doing it now. And, you know, think about it, once you've been through this process, once you've had the baby, the next time you're teaching it, like all the knowledge that you'll have gained within that time as well. And it keeps growing. I've got a lovely friend of mine, Jo, who's a yoga teacher over in Spain, in Barcelona, and now she's got 3 children, and now she focuses on pregnancy yoga and mum and baby yoga, and it's such a lovely time, and to share those experiences, having gone through it yourself, really adds, you know, another level to your pregnancy yoga journey. I think it's going to be really, really interesting for you.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and it's been, you know, I often watch other yoga teachers go through the kind of cycle of yoga teaching, which is such an interesting journey. You know, it's almost like it's quite typical for when you first get into yoga to be like a power teacher, because, you know, maybe that's what you're attracted to, and people kind of come to it to get fitter and more flexible. And then what I found was, almost as I grew up a little bit, I really kind of got into the nidra and the relaxation, and the more spiritual side of the practice. And now being pregnant, that's really useful because we bring in so many of those techniques into being okay with slowing down, and all the breathing techniques and the stress techniques to try and release all of that. And then after that, naturally comes the kind of kids yoga and the family yoga. So it's like a lovely kind of constant journey through your profession, really. So the teaching qualification kind of keeps giving for me. Really grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's anybody that is watching that's pregnant at the moment or just had a baby and wants to share any of your own experiences at the moment, please do comment. We'd love to have some of that. We have got a comment from Katie McClelland, she's in America actually. And she says, Laura, are you getting new clients during this time? We're now with this online offering who might or who also might come along when you reopen and pay for a new sort of membership subscription?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's been really interesting to see that actually, because what's been lovely is obviously the benefit of being online is being able to connect with people who aren't local. So, often I'll kind of sign into the Zoom class and there will be faces who I've never met before. And we kind of say hi and, Cilla Black, where'd you come from? And lots of them, are not from Worcester. And it's just amazing to be able to connect to a bigger network, really. So that's definitely a benefit. And equally, what was amazing, so we've got kind of two systems going on. We've got our live classes, which is on the normal kind of Soul Sanctuary Studio app. And then we've got our Soul Sanctuary TV, which is the online subscription platform, which is a different app. And, we see people joining our subscription program in Singapore, in the States, in Canada, in China, like all over the place. And we would never usually, get the opportunity to connect with people that far away. So, it's been a brilliant opportunity in many ways. So hopefully when it all comes together, it'll be a really awesome string to the bow. But yeah.
Well, I'd love to know if you're planning to keep your online, because I've been trying to get you to go online previous to the pandemic, which you were very keen to do, and it's just that the pandemic made you do it a bit quicker, I think. So will you continue to have a Soul Sanctuary TV online offering once your studios reopen so that you can grow and be accessible worldwide?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we haven't put all this work in now just to stop. So it was tough, but it's been amazing to actually kick myself into gear and get that sorted. So it's one of those things, isn't it? I was actually speaking to Worcester Library today. I'm doing some talks for them, and they were saying the same. They've been meaning to go online for ages, but it was never a priority. And for us, there's just always so much urgent stuff to be done, especially with opening a new studio and all our training courses and the workshops. It was like, yeah, I know that would be lovely, but I just don't have time. And now we've done it, and absolutely we'll be carrying on. So we're really trying to get clear on our strategy now for how it works in terms of kind of phases. So keeping the classes on for members whilst kind of keeping more space between mats, and then also making sure that those live classes are also available for our subscribers and growing our subscription program. So it will be busy when we start coming back into managing the studios again, plus keeping up this online service, but we will absolutely be doing that.
Yeah. And also, it's brilliant, again, what you've turned around so quickly, because you must have been in your sort of first trimester as things were happening, and you'd having to make very quick business decisions whilst your hormones were probably all over the place with the growth of a brand new baby inside you. And also looking forward, because obviously we're still at taking kind of day by day as it comes. We don't really know an exit strategy for coming out of lockdown. We don't know when the studios are going to be able to reopen. So you must constantly be thinking about your your kind of business plan, your business strategy. Well, if this happens, we can do this. And then, you know, soon we'll be into September, which is when you're going to obviously be due to give birth, I believe. So, and, you know, you might be opening a new studio at that time. So how is all this kind of new pregnancy with running your own business, because you're the founder of this business, how are you coping with that during a lockdown as well?
Yeah, that, and you've hit the nail on the head. That's definitely the most challenging part. So what I've tried to do, and it drives my business partner mad, you know, but just plan for every eventuality. So for me, it's the case of, okay, we don't know the dates, but we do know that there are going to be phases. We know that, you know, it's pretty likely that we're not going to go back to kind of full contact. So we're definitely going to need, you know, more spaces between mats, which is going to mean reduced class sizes. And so what can we offer all of our members to keep everybody happy, even though we might have to reduce numbers? So for me, I work in kind of phases, just take the timings out of it. And then as long as we're ready for every phase, then as and when it occurs, you know, we're kind of ready to go. But in terms of, you know, some real timings which I can't move, yes, having a baby in September is definitely happening. So yeah, I'm really lucky because I've got an amazing team. So you know, I've got 2 girls that work full time on the business, and, you know, loads of teachers that have come through our teacher training. So over like 20 teachers. So it's taken a long time to build that up, but it is at a stage now where I don't have to physically teach all the classes 3 times a day, every day, like I used to when I started out. And yeah, so for me, it's a case of just really getting better at taking support, asking people to help more. And I think, yeah, it will be a whole new lesson when this new little person comes along and I have to balance my work life, you know, and him. But for now, everything is, everything's in place. Everything's in place for kind of as and when things happen. And then, yeah, I'll take it from there once I've got him to see how that goes. But yeah, I'm lucky. I've got a lot of support, so I am lucky in that sense. And I try to plan as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a few more comments. Sounds like you'll have to continue the Zoom classes. You should definitely keep your global online business going. So lots of encouragement there. Thanks, guys. If you are enjoying this, please do like and share. Just give some more thumbs up and some more love hearts, and share to any groups that you're part of. That would be a big help to us. And to thank Laura for coming on as well. So please do share. So just going back to the fact that we are still in the lockdown phase, so we're still very much trying to stay at home as much as possible. You mentioned that you haven't really had the chance to see a midwife face to face yet. You've had some phone calls. That must be difficult as a first time pregnant mum. What do you know when your next appointment is?
So yeah, I had, it sounds a bit strange, but I had an obstetrician appointment, which I was actually really grateful for because I got to see someone. And so I have to have another one of those in 2 weeks. And that, you know, that's quite scary in itself because, you know, having to go into hospital, and obviously partners aren't allowed to come with you. So yeah, I have been going into hospital, which is reassuring. I have no idea when my next midwife appointment is, that because I'm, you know, going in and seeing people and they're telling me that everything's okay, I'm not so worried. But it does feel absolutely bizarre. So that's why I think it's so important to stay connected with, you know, all the mums on our little maternity yoga group, and as many other people that we can connect with, really. Hopefully we can keep that growing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with my first pregnancy, I did a NCT course, which of course was face-to-face and learning some kind of practical points about pregnancy and labour. So as you kind of get closer to that point, you'll probably, well, maybe look for other stuff online. I know that you found some resources in terms of some podcasts and some online books and things like that. And like you say, the fact that you've started your pregnancy yoga group, that is fulfilling that sense of community, because like I'm so amazed when we have these video calls or when I have calls during the working day. I do feel really connected with people through a call, even though it's not face to face. You can still get so much, I think, from seeing somebody, you know. And if you think about previously not having the internet, not having video calls, can you imagine? That would feel very, very strange. At least I am seeing you now. You know, we are seeing each other. So we're having a human connection, even though it's through a screen. I think you can still get a lot from it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really interesting seeing that, actually, the difference between people who are using like our live classes and people who are using the subscription program, because there is definitely something about it being live and you being kind of here and now with that person, you know, in inverted commas. Because, you know, a big part of us was like, why would anyone want to join a live class at a certain time, you know, with a maybe good or bad connection, when they can have perfect video at the drop of their fingers, you know, in their own time? And the truth is, you know, the lives are really popular. And I think a huge part of that is purely connection, you know, which we can still achieve. So yeah, it is absolutely amazing. And like you say as well, you know, although I haven't been able to kind of go to NCT classes and stuff like that, I've, you know, it's not the same, but I have been listening to so many audiobooks and podcasts, and that just really helps. Like at the beginning, I was just terrified and was convinced that I knew less than anyone in the world about pregnancy. And now, you know, thankfully, I feel okay. I feel like I'm, you know, it's okay, and I don't feel worried at all. And I realized how much of what I've learned from yoga, and specifically like stress, is so transferable. We had a great conversation on I think it was week before last, the beginning of our yoga class, and it was about basically how can we, you know, reduce stress, because that cortisol stress hormone passing through the placenta to the baby, you know, is something that we've got to reduce and take really seriously. And how can we increase the love hormone oxytocin to make the baby feel relaxed and be healthy? And so much of that I can transfer from, you know, as well as listening to all these books, but from all my training previously. So yeah, although I haven't been able to connect with people kind of face to face, I think there's been a lot of connection in the group, and also I feel okay because of the amount that, you know, we can kind of absorb online, and I can transfer from other kind of skills and courses and learning and things that I've done. So yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And I think obviously the skills that you do have with yoga and everything that you do is really helpful at this time, because people are finding this is an unusual situation. People are feeling more anxious, understandably, outside of our own little bubbles. You know, there's a lot going on, and people are being affected by, you know, very sad news. And I think that at a time when you're trying to remain calm and positive for your baby, it's important to find either groups like that or tools that you can use to keep that kind of calmness, really. And so in some ways for you at the moment, would you say that lockdown has a lot of positives in terms of maybe you're not running around as much as you would be if you were going from studio to studio, managing your business in that sense? Perhaps you're getting a bit more time to yourself, a little bit more time to rest before everything else happens. There are obviously very many positives in that sense.
Yeah, and it's a really funny one, isn't it? Because I don't know about you, but I almost feel guilty saying that, because I know that it's such a difficult time for so many people to kind of go, actually, you know, there are parts of me that are really enjoying this. Feels like a little bit insensitive, but it is the truth. You know, I had this really weird moment probably about, I don't know, it's about 2 weeks into isolation, I got really emotional, and I hear that may well be the hormones as well. That I had realized, having had the time to reflect, how little time, energy, and attention I had given myself for years,
Mm,
maybe for like 5 years, having almost been in fight and flight. Even though I teach like every day not to be doing that for your body, not really realizing that I had been doing that because I hadn't seen the difference. I hadn't experienced the contrast for so long that
yeah,
I had just come to think that that was normal. And it sounds silly, but even in my appearance, like, I just stopped wearing makeup, just kind of scraped my hair back, and got on with it. And it was like being a warrior every day. And suddenly I had this time to go, why aren't I looking after myself? And it feels so nice just to have a bit more time. And I got really upset with myself, and I kind of promised myself, especially now having a kid, which will force it probably. But
yeah,
actually, if there is a lesson that's come out of this for me, is to not put my business first or above me as much. It's very difficult not to do it at all.
mm,
But to prioritize myself more. And Adam and I have had these conversations where he had like stress rashes all up his arms before isolation, and they've all gone. And we said, like, isn't it amazing how really we do this to ourselves? Because it's all within our capability to say no. I don't want to go to a meeting, I don't want to have that coffee, I don't want to do this and that. But
mm,
because he and I are definitely like people pleasers, and we're really ambitious, and we say yes to everything, and stretch ourselves so thin that we're like so stressed, and just making that the norm. And it's just been this massive wake up call to go, actually, I'm going to say no more, and I'm going to put myself first more.
mm,
And that, we actually don't need much to be happy.
yeah,
Like, we haven't done anything. I've like planted plants and vegetables in the garden. I've got this stray cat, which I now feed every morning. There's like these silly little things which have made me so happy. I don't need much. And actually, if we stripped it right back, could we be happier by doing less, having less, and just appreciating the little things a bit more?
yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people are finding that in this situation, those that are lucky enough to sort of be in their own little bubble still and not be too affected from what's happening outside. I think people are prioritizing things or they're looking at things that they want to keep, that have their habits that they're forming now in the lockdown, rather than rushing back to a sort of normal life, which, in this day and age is a million miles an hour, is saying yes to everything. I'm a really sociable person, and at the moment I actually quite like not having to do any socializing, apart from seeing my family and my very best friends, who you obviously miss so much. But it's quite nice to think, oh, I don't have to do something this weekend, actually, because we shouldn't really be going out anywhere, so we can just be in the garden. I've obviously got two little ones at home as well, so it's nice to actually be that family unit. We're having tea together every night, which we might not sometimes do because of school and work and things like that. So it's kind of making people realize actually the simpler way of life. Let's try and keep some of those habits going once we get back to a new normal.
I think so. I mean, speak to me in 6 months and I'll be like,
Yeah.
no, I lost.
I
But
know what you're like, really.
I'll try my best, definitely.
Just a couple of things that I sort of wanted to mention, as this is a chat about working through a pandemic and being pregnant. I'm part of a few pregnancy groups on Facebook, and a couple of things that have come up just that might be interesting for the viewers and to comment on is that obviously people are moving into sort of maternity after they've had their baby. And some lady has sort of shared that she's now at home with 4 children, trying to homeschool 2 of the oldest, have a toddler running around, breastfeeding baby, husband's actually still working away. And it's not quite the maternity leave that she had envisioned when she would be bonding with that 4th baby, really. So it's just sort of interesting things that this situation is throwing up, obviously, because carrying a baby for 9-10 months, going through labour is, you do put your body through a lot, and it is important to rest and recover. So I hope that she is finding some balance there. And another point that's come out of it, again, around maternity leave, was that some people are on statutory maternity pay, so SMP, which would be sort of the basic £151 a week, while other colleagues of theirs are furloughed at getting 80% of their full salary, but obviously not having to work. And that's just like another situation that's come out of this. And obviously these people are hugely grateful to have their healthy, lovely little babies. But it is, again, sort of strange times that we're in. And I'm kind of thinking ahead. When this first started, I was thinking, oh, by July, August, when my baby's due at the beginning of August, it'll be kind of back to normal by then. But, we're middle of May now. We're soon into June. I'm thinking, not really going to be back to normal. What is normal? What am I going to do for having a toddler and a nearly 6-year-old? Normally I would utilise nursery and holiday clubs. Are they going to be up and running over the summer? So just kind of thinking ahead, really, of what it looks like. We're kind of in the safe pregnancy zone. It's a funny thing. I think that when you're pregnant, all you can think about is being pregnant. You don't even think about labour and birth. Then you get to the end and you start to think about that. But then you don't think about actually having a baby afterwards, and the kind of looking after and the logistics and how are we going to be dealing with this and that. So it's kind of all these things that this really unprecedented situation that we didn't see coming has kind of thrown up for a lot of people. It's very strange. Really.
It's difficult. It's so difficult for so many people. And it's almost like every person I speak to has a serious difficulty for whatever stage they're in, and that sounds so hard, and is honestly something I hadn't considered. So thanks for sharing that. But I know, I mean, just finding time for yourself at a time like this, I was saying, I find hard enough, and there's only Adam and I at home. I cannot imagine how difficult it is trying to do that with, different age kids running about, and then at the same time, trying to get that time, just for you and your baby, and to top it all off, not have the kind of maternity pay financially, and your friends being on furlough. I mean, it is so difficult. I think at every stage, really hard. So no, I mean, I haven't thought about that, because I'm, as you say, like right in the thick of like the pregnancy. I think it would probably all be a bit overwhelming if you knew too much, to be honest. So,
that's honestly how I think it works. So you don't think too far ahead.
Yeah. So no, but I will do now.
Sorry, I've got a few other questions up for you there. We need to round up, really. I feel like we could stay chatting for ages, because there's so much to talk about, so many things that I'd put down in my notes. But thank you, Laura, for joining us. And I think it's really important to talk about these things, because I'm part of a group on Facebook, which is, I think it's called something like COVID-19 Babies or something, which is a bit of a scary title, but it is sharing lots of lovely stories about positive birth stories when people have sort of safely had their babies, and they've said, don't worry, it's not that scary when you go to the hospital. I mean, I had my midwife appointment actually just yesterday, which I was really grateful for, having not seen somebody for 2 months, and lovely midwife, but she was even because she was wearing the mask and the PPE stuff, it was a little bit like, oh, this sort of feels a bit strange, because normally you're just like a normal person, and now I'm thinking about everything else that's happening. But again, really, really reassuring. And women have been doing this for forever, for thousands and thousands of years, against all odds and adversities. Like I said in our group, you know, we can do it, our bodies can do it. And, you know, just to kind of keep hold of that thought, really. And similarly, talking about having other children at home, you know, when our parents or bit before that maybe, you know, were born, their parents probably didn't have nurseries and nannies and loads of childcare options, so they probably had all of their kids at home until they were 5, and then they went to school, basically. So we are used to a lot of privileges in our modern age, and I think that's something that I kind of keep going back to as well. The back to basics. Let's remember the simplicities and what's important, and not kind of get too carried away with the modern lifestyle that we're used to, and the luxury that we're used to, really. Just be strong warriors.
Yeah, keep being a warrior. And I think as well, you know, like my mum brought, you know, my sister and I up on her own pretty much. And so, yeah, you know, being back in that time where there wasn't quite so much support, you know, and also on your own, certainly, you know, I feel really lucky to have it, to be doing it with someone. And as you say, yeah, it could be a lot worse. So no, I think we're doing good, Rach.
Yeah, definitely. We always find the positives anyway. That's what you need to do at this time. And we've just got a few more comments I'll read out before signing off. So Linda's agreeing with you about the lives, when you pick up much more energy through a live call and you feel like a collaboration. Andrew Arnie's asking about the stress marks that you mentioned Adam had. Didn't know that you could get sort of physical stress marks from stress. What does that look like? He's asking.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Poor Adam, every time he gets something, I sort of Google it frantically. And obviously not being a doctor, but my mum actually had something similar. And essentially, you know, I'm sure somebody qualified could explain this much better. But just like any allergy, it's like a histamine. Essentially, if you have too much of that chemical in your body starts to reject it. So it was literally like an allergy. He had hives like up his arm. He wasn't allergic to anything else. We kind of tested all of that, and it definitely came up so quickly because of stress. So yeah, it was definitely stress hives, and I think I think we've got to take stress so much more seriously than we do. You know, this is all the work that I do with corporates, which is, you know, it's not okay to just be like, yeah, you know, I'm stressed, but isn't everyone? Because actually we can do something about that. You know, you can't control the external circumstances, but you can control your internal reaction to them through, you know, practicing exercising the mind to make sure that it doesn't run off to the future, because we look for danger. That's our survival mechanism. And to try and keep it in this present moment, or change your lens. So whatever it is that you're finding that is stressing you out, actually you flip that and try and create an opportunity from it so that you're looking forward to it. That's always what I do when I teach yoga to kids in schools who have exams coming up. I'm like, guys, this is like your doorway to your dream life, you know, and try and switch it round. Or if that's not possible, actually what I find really interesting is that the best way to reduce stress and cortisol and adrenaline is low intensity exercise. So most of us like spend all the day stressed in the office and then think we have to like go to the gym and absolutely kill ourselves. But that puts more stress on our body. So we have to be looking at how can we reduce stress with low intensity exercise, and look at our health in a chemical perspective, trying to find balance chemically, rather than worrying about, you know, whether we have a six pack or, you know, can we burn any more calories, because what we look like is irrelevant if we're not well, you know. So I think it's really important to just look at how we kind of cope with stress, because we can't control what's going on around us, but we really can control how we react to it. So that's a long answer, isn't it, to stress hives? But it's something that I feel.
Though you're very knowledgeable about this, and I think that's something that hopefully with you going online for your business, that's another angle that you can offer, you know, further down the line. This real access to the information that you do with corporates, for other corporates and for individuals as well, really. That psychology behind it all is going to be a really good thing going forward.
Right now, recording all those packages and just putting like a course online, and a massive part of that is how to manage stress.
Yeah.
So
yes, Laura. Loving it. Great. I'm just going to read out the last few comments before we'll let everybody get back to relaxing on their evening. So again, Katie's commented, I'm really in tune with what Laura is saying about the time now. I've been so enjoying my time now to study, edit a book, nap. We are in day 72 of isolation in California, and we began a few days early due to other health concerns. But that's lovely to hear, Katie, that you are taking it easy and taking a bit more time for yourself. Really good. Hi to Shinny, he's given us a wave. Linda says thank you and wishing you well for when your baby boy comes. Another Linda. Hi, Linda. This is so good, beats telly. I like that. Louise says, good luck, both of you girls. Thank you. And Jeanette says, best wishes to all the mummies. See you online. Oh, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. It's been a real pleasure to be with you this evening. And again, thank you to Laura for sharing your expertise as well as your kind of life story, really, on what you're going through at the moment. It's been really valuable. If you want to find out more about what IsoNation is, we are a community for people that are working through this lockdown period. We want to be here to inspire. You can just comment IsoNation in the comments and we will send you some information to your inbox within Facebook. We're also running a business survey, a business impact survey, which is pinned to the top of our Facebook page. And if you've got just 2 minutes to complete that, it doesn't take very long at all, that would be really helpful, because we hope to publish that in the coming weeks, along with an ebook about things that we've been talking about in IsoNation. So with that, I'm going to say thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Rachel. Thanks so much.
Lovely to see you.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for your comments and tuning in.
Really proud of your online offering and look forward to that growing as well. And we'll say goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much.